Let me get my breath together here. Hopefully, you can hear me. I'm trying a new microphone. It's a little tiny thing, but apparently, it picks up really well. It's Wi Fi, but it connects directly into my computer. So, anyway, this is Cassandra Williamson with Midday with Cassandra. Today, first thing I want to say is there's this in Minneapolis, Minnesota, shooting at Annunciation uh, School. Quite a few people have been injured. It's a mass shooting. The shooter has been contained, according to ATF and local officials. I don't know more than that, but definitely want to keep that in your thoughts and in your mind as you're going through the day. Another mass shooting just continues to happen across this country. And people like to blame mental health issues and all stuff like that. Well, could be, most likely is. And people who are disturbed have access to weapons when they shouldn't have access to weapons, right? So, anyway, the other topic I wanted to talk about was this. Pull up this image right here. I've been thinking a lot about this lately because there, back in 1963, on June 11th of 1963, the governor of Alabama at that time, who was George Wallace, stood in front of Foster's Auditorium on the University of Alabama campus and said, segregation now, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. What was he doing? He was opposing the integration of black students into the University of Alabama. There were two young girls who wanted to attend the University of Alabama, but he refused to allow them to do that. And the federal government had sent in the National Guard in to force the issue. Wallace stood resolutely in that door saying those words that he was not going to allow those two young black ladies to attend the school, the University of Alabama. And that was horrendous, horrendous, stupid, ignorant. But the thing is, a lot of people believed that that was what was needed to be done, that that's how they thought. That was tradition, that you segregated people by race, that you segregated people, and a lot of times even by sex. And I'm not talking about gender, I'm talking about sex. They were segregated along those lines. Shoot, even before that, they were segregating people by left handed and right handedness. They thought that left handed people were not godly because they were writing with their left hand, and only the right handed people are sitting at the right hand of God. Oh my God. So you got these politicians who are standing in the way of allowing people to do the things they need to be doing only because they have some ideological hang up over it. Right now, we have politicians in Washington who are standing in the way of our doctors and of our care. Is that what you want? Do you really want somebody standing in the doorway blocking you from getting the health care you know you need and that your doctor knows you need and has been trained in that? But yet, a politician is standing there going, nope, it hurts my feelings. It's against my beliefs. I'm not going to let you do what you need to be doing because your beliefs, I don't acknowledge your beliefs. It's only my beliefs that matter. And that's what they're saying. They're standing in the door of our doctor's offices going, your beliefs don't matter. Yeah, 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 yeah. I can block the door now. My beliefs are more important than your beliefs. That's what they're saying. And we're letting them do it. In what regard am I talking? All right. First thing is, let's say this is for all Americans. This impacts everybody in this country. This is part of who we are, that we should not be doing these things. Standing in the door, blocking you from accessing your care, blocking you from getting into places where you might need to. Let's say you want to go to a store, any store. But yet there's a politician in front of it says, but we don't want you in this store because we don't agree with who you are, but we're going to keep you out. And by the way, you can't use that water fountain right over there because that was just for me. But you go back there in the back and get on that one. Use that water fountain back there in the back. We don't want you contaminating our lives. That's what these people are doing to this nation today. But you say, well, it's worse today than it ever was. No, this country has always been that way. We've segregated things along lines, north or south. It didn't matter if it was in Confederacy or the Union. It didn't matter if it was prior to all of that. Yes, we only allowed three-fifths of a vote or consideration for a black man under the three-fifths compromise in our Constitution. But here we have politicians now standing in the door of our healthcare. They think that their ideology is more important than you and your ideology. They think they know best for you, even though you and your doctor know what's best for you. And I haven't even said why. That could be women with bodily autonomy. It could be trans people wanting care. It could be you as an LGBT person who just wants to go in and get married. You got a politician standing in the door saying, no, we're not going to let that. That hurts my feelings. And that's what we've come down to, folks. You've got Kim Davis here in Kentucky, right here in Kentucky, where I am right now, who says, I'm not going to marry you because it hurts my feelings. It goes against my faith. Well, get over yourself, Kim. My God, your opinion, your views, your beliefs are no more and no less important than anyone else's. And that's just asinine to think that you can impose your views on the whole country, and many of whom don't agree with you at all. And that's what George Wallace did in 1963. He was standing in the door of Foster's Auditorium at the University of Alabama down there in Tuscaloosa. Been there, done that. I've seen that. Even had somebody tell me one time, talking about it as a joke. Just going to stand in the door down yonder shouting, segregation today, or segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever. He did not want the integration of the blacks with the whites. We have the same crap going on now. Back then you had, and it's still this way in terms of, the similarities, vast, massive similarities. We don't want you to go into this place because you happen to be a trans person, or we don't want you in here because we disagree with the fact that you think you have bodily autonomy over your health, and we think we know better than you, and we think our beliefs are more important than yours. Really? In this country? I'm sorry. You don't get to do that. No. A lot of people are saying, well, there's a Judeo-Christian nation. Sorry, it was not. It was not founded that way. It was founded explicitly to block that from happening, where any one religion would have dictate over the rest, or no religion. John Paul, or who is it? I was going to say John Paul Jones, but Thomas Paine, one of our early pamphleteers, one of our early propagandists, actually. You know who he is? You know why you don't hear too much about Thomas Paine in today's discourse? Because he was an atheist. Thomas Paine wrote one of the most influential pamphlets of the Revolutionary War, but yet you don't hear much about him today because he was an avowed atheist. He didn't want anything to do with any of your gods. But you don't hear too much about that man because of those reasons. But anyway, so we got these politicians who are doing this. Let me pull up this image again. Right there you go. See George Wallace over there on the left in that image? I hope it's maybe the left side. Anyway, it's over beside Trump over there. I edited this image. Yes, this is an image, a picture of George Wallace actually standing in front of the door to Foster's Auditorium on the University of 1963, June 11th of 1963, was standing there, and people and the National Guard had been federalized to go in there and tell him, you will open these doors so black students, black people can apply to attend the University of Alabama. There were two young black ladies who wanted to go to the University of Alabama, but he stood there. He was the governor of the state of Alabama. My dad even supported this man. Yeah, he did. Ran around here in the hills of eastern Kentucky with a big piece of wood on top of a van and some bullhorns going, vote for George Wallace. Yep, he did. And you wonder where I get all of my stuff from. I borrowed my dad's Y jeans and passed that Y gene right on to my son, and it's been modified slightly. Hopefully, it's different. Yeah, here. People are going. I know you're just a man. I'm saying, well, look, there's two ways to think about that. One is, yes, I know that my genes, on a very superficial level, if I'm thinking of it from the 1950s level, an elementary school science, yeah, my genes are XY. But that's very superficial and inadequately defines what that actually means. But my son picked up the Y gene, and he could only have gotten that from me. So I know, yeah, I know that, but that's not my gender. Anyway, get over yourself, will you? Not a big deal. Stop worrying about this. Stop standing in the door, shutting out people because you think your views are more important than my life. They're not. Stop standing in the door, preventing people from getting the care that they know